The wire transfers went out like clockwork every semester, 3 separate payments to 3 different universities, totaling $173,000 annually. Northwestern for Emma, the pre-med student, Boston University for Marcus, studying engineering, Berkeley for Sophie, pursuing environmental science. My sister Laura's children, all attending expensive schools despite Laura's modest income as a middle school teacher. Laura thought their late grandmother had established education trusts. I never corrected that assumption. It was simpler than explaining why her younger sister now ran a digital marketing agency profitable enough to casually spend over $500,000 on someone else's children's education. I've been funding their tuitions for 3 years. Emma was entering her senior year, Marcus his junior, Sophie her sophomore. The payments had become routine, automated reminders I barely noticed anymore. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I sat in my home office reviewing the spring semester payment schedule. Emma's final year would cost $68,000. Marcus needed $57,000. Sophie's tuition had increased to $48,000, $173,000 due in 6 weeks. My phone buzzed with a text from Laura. Kids are so excited for Thanksgiving. Emma's bringing her boyfriend. Fair warning, they're all very impressed with themselves this year. College success has gone to their heads a bit. I stared at that message longer than necessary. Impressed with themselves. As if their success had nothing to do with the anonymous benefactor ensuring they graduated debt-free while their peers drowned in loans. I didn't confirm the payment schedule. Something made me hesitate. Thanksgiving arrived cold and crisp. Laura had decorated with characteristic excess. Aunt Claire. Sophie offered a brief hug before turning back to her phone. Sorry, huge group project crisis. Emma appeared with a tall young man. Aunt Claire, this is Brandon. Brandon? This is my aunt. The family entrepreneur, Brandon said. Emma mentioned you do some kind of internet marketing. Some kind of, I agreed. Marcus was last to acknowledge me, taking a phone call in the hallway. Yeah, the Tesla internship is confirmed for summer. The afternoon unfolded with the usual chaos. The kids clustered together, their conversation peppered with casual references to their impressive lives. Emma's MCAT scores, Marcus's engineering competition wins, Sophie's research publication. Laura glowed with maternal pride. My father nodded approvingly. I helped in the kitchen, arranged side dishes, refilled drinks. After dinner, I was in the dining room clearing plates when their voices drifted from the living room. They congregated there, the kids and Laura, their conversation loud enough to carry. Mom, why do we even invite her anymore? Emma's voice, sharp with casual cruelty. She just sits there being awkward. Emma, that's not fair. But Laura was laughing. She's family. She's just the family charity case. Marcus declared, and I could hear the others joining in the laughter. Seriously, what does she even do? Some vague internet job? Meanwhile, we're all at top universities actually accomplishing things. Marcus, stop. Laura's protest was half-hearted. Your aunt has had a difficult path. Not everyone finds success early like you 3 have. A difficult path? Sophie scoffed. She's almost 40 and still acts like she's figuring things out. It's embarrassing when my friends ask about my family. What do I say? My aunt does internet stuff and lives alone with 2 cats. 1 cat, I murmured to myself, still holding the stack of plates. Brandon's voice tried to be diplomatic. Everyone's journey is different. Brandon, you're sweet, but come on, Emma said again. She's the family joke, the cautionary tale. Study hard or you'll end up like Aunt Claire. The laughter that followed was genuine, unforced. My sister's children, these college students I'd been supporting for years, casually shredding my life while I stood 15 feet away holding their dirty dishes. I set the plates down carefully and pulled out my phone. My banking app opened smoothly, muscle memory from years of managing payments. I navigated to the university payment portal I've been using so long it stayed permanently logged in. 3 scheduled payments, 3 cancellation buttons. My thumbs moved steadily. Northwestern, canceled. Boston University, canceled. Berkeley, canceled. Then I opened my email and drafted 3 separate messages to 3 separate bursar offices. Please cancel all automatic payment arrangements for the following student. I will no longer be funding their tuition effective immediately. Fall semester has been paid in full, but no future payments will be processed from my accounts. Please direct all billing inquiries to their parent, Laura Mitchell. I sent all 3 before I could reconsider. Then I walked back into the living room, smiling pleasantly. Anyone want coffee? They looked up, startled. Sophie's face flushed slightly, but none seemed genuinely concerned. I was just the family joke. I stayed another hour, helped clean up, hugged everyone goodbye. Emma's embrace was perfunctory. Marcus barely looked up. Sophie managed a distracted, "See you next time." Laura walked me to my car. "Thanks for coming. The kids can be a bit much sometimes." "They're great," I said. "You've raised impressive children." "I got lucky with that education fund Mom left." She laughed. "Sometimes I feel guilty you didn't get the same support." I didn't correct her, just hugged her goodbye and drove home. The semester break passed quietly. I worked through the holidays and didn't think about university payments until mid-January when Laura called. "Claire, something strange is happening." She sounded stressed. All 3 kids got letters saying spring tuition hasn't been paid and enrollment is being canceled. I was reviewing a campaign proposal. That sounds serious. Mom's trust was supposed to handle everything automatically. Laura, Mom didn't have an education trust. She had a retirement account we split evenly, $12,000 each for funeral expenses, remember? Long silence. Then who's been paying for Northwestern, Boo, and Berkeley? That's almost $200,000 per year. I have no idea. Maybe call their financial aid offices. Claire, all 3 are about to be kicked out. Emma graduates in 4 months. Sounds like a serious situation. Can you help? Maybe a loan just for this semester? $173,000 loan to someone whose children had called me the family joke. Laura, I don't have that kind of money lying around. I do internet marketing, remember? Not exactly fortune-building work. Claire, please. Have you talked to Dad? He's on a fixed income. I'm sure you'll figure something out. I ended the call. The messages started within hours. Laura, Emma, Marcus, Sophie. I responded to none of them. 4 days later, my father showed up at my office unannounced, walking past my assistant and into my meeting room, where I was presenting to a pharmaceutical company's marketing director. "Claire, we need to talk, now." I excused myself and led him to my office, where the walls displayed industry awards and client testimonials. He looked around, surprised. "I didn't realize your office was so established." "Most people don't ask." I sat behind my desk. "What's the emergency?" "Laura's at Northwestern. The university has records showing you've been paying all 3 kids' tuitions for 3 years. Over $500,000 total." "That's correct." "Why, without telling anyone?" "Because they needed it, and I could afford it. Laura makes $48,000 a year. There was no magical fund. And now you've stopped." "Correct. This is about Thanksgiving." I left after Emma called me the family joke. Marcus said I was embarrassing, and Sophie explained I'm the cautionary tale. Laura laughed through it. My father's face shifted. "They said that while I was clearing their dishes." "Claire, they're young. They say stupid things. They're 21, 20, and 19, old enough to understand that mocking someone's life choices is cruel, especially when that person has spent over $500,000 funding their educations. So you're punishing them for being thoughtless kids." "I'm declining to continue financing people who have contempt for me. That seems pretty reasonable." "Emma graduates in May. You'd really deny her that after funding 3.5 years?" "Dad, I funded 3 students through multiple years of expensive private universities while they and their mother believed I was a failure barely scraping by with internet work. I never asked for gratitude. But I also don't have to accept being called the family joke by people whose entire academic careers I've been bankrolling." He sat heavily in one of my client chairs. "What do you want? An apology?" "I don't want anything. I just want to stop being the invisible solution to everyone's problems while simultaneously being dismissed as the family disappointment. They didn't know you were paying. They didn't ask." Laura spent 3 years not questioning where nearly $600,000 was coming from. She just assumed some magical fund covered everything because it was easier than acknowledging I might be successful. So now what? 3 kids drop out of college because they hurt your feelings. No. 3 kids figure out student loans, financial aid, or part-time work like millions of other students do. Or Laura figures out how to pay, which she should have been planning for anyway, instead of coasting on assumed trust funds. "Claire." "Dad, did you know I've been running a digital marketing agency for 8 years? That I have 43 employees and clients in 6 countries? That my revenue last year was $12 million? He stared at me. Of course you didn't, because nobody ever asked what I actually do. I'm just Claire, the family mess who does some vague internet stuff and lives alone with cats. It was easier to keep believing that than to actually look at my life. I had no idea. Nobody did, and that was fine until Laura's kids decided to make me the punchline at Thanksgiving dinner. My phone buzzed. Laura's name appeared on the screen. I declined the call. Emma's crying, Dad said quietly. She realizes what she lost. They all do now. Good. Understanding consequences is part of becoming an adult. This will destroy their academic careers. No, it won't. It'll make them work harder. Maybe they'll appreciate their education more when they're actually paying for it. He stood slowly. You've changed, Claire. I grew up, Dad. Built something real. It just happened quietly while everyone was looking elsewhere. After he left, I sat alone in my office watching the sun set over the city. My phone continued buzzing with ignored calls and messages. Laura, Emma, Marcus, even Sophie, with her carefully composed apologies. That evening, Emma sent a voice message. I almost deleted it unheard, but curiosity won. Aunt Claire. Her voice was thick with tears. Mom finally told me the truth. About everything. The tuition, the payments, all of it. I don't even know what to say except I'm so sorry. I was cruel and dismissive, and I said horrible things about someone who's been supporting my entire education. I understand if you never forgive me, but I needed you to know that I realized what I did. What we all did. I listened to similar messages from Marcus and Sophie over the next hour, all genuinely remorseful, all shocked by the revelation of my actual financial support. But remorse doesn't erase words already spoken. Sorry doesn't refund $500,000 spent on people who called you a charity case. 2 weeks later, Laura appeared at my office. My assistant had strict instructions this time, but Laura looked so defeated I agreed to see her. They're withdrawing, she said without preamble. All 3 of them. Emma found a state school that will accept her credits and let her finish her degree. Marcus is transferring to the state engineering program. Sophie's taking a semester off to work and save money. Sounds like they're being resourceful. Claire, please. I know what they said was unforgivable. I know I should have been more aware, should have questioned where the money was coming from, but they're good kids who made a terrible mistake. They're adults who revealed what they actually think of me. That's not a mistake. That's honesty. What can I do? What would make this right? I looked at my older sister, always so polished, always so together, now completely falling apart. Part of me wanted to fix everything, to wire the money and restore their perfect lives. But the rest of me remembered standing in that dining room, holding plates, listening to people I'd sacrificed for treat me like garbage. Tell them the truth, I finally said. Tell them exactly how much I paid and for how long. Tell them I heard every word they said at Thanksgiving. Tell them that actions have consequences, and this is what happens when you mock someone's generosity. They know all that now. Then there's nothing more to discuss. She left crying. 3 months later, I ran into Emma at a coffee shop near my office. She was in scrubs, apparently working as a hospital volunteer between classes at her new state university. Aunt Claire. She approached hesitantly. Can we talk for just a minute? I gestured to the empty chair at my table. I start at state in the fall, she said. The pre-med program there is actually really good. Different vibe than Northwestern, but I'm adjusting. Good. I got a job. 2 jobs, actually. This hospital thing. And I tutor organic chemistry on weekends. I'm covering my own tuition through a combination of work and small loans. Nothing like what you were paying, but it's mine. That's admirable. I wanted you to know that I get it now. What you did for us. What we threw away. I'm not asking you to forgive me or to help us again. I just wanted you to know that working for my education has made me appreciate it more than I ever did before. I studied her face, seeing exhaustion, but also something that looked like genuine growth. Emma, I never wanted you to fail. Any of you. I wanted you to succeed without debt. But I also needed you to see me as a real person, not just the family joke. I see you now, she said quietly. And I'm so sorry it took losing everything to open my eyes. She left, and I sat alone with my coffee, thinking about family, pride, and the price of being invisible. My phone buzzed with a payment reminder, not for tuition this time, just my regular bills, my regular life. And I realized something, it felt absolutely right.